Drake fan, and I want that one hip hop rap album.
What?
Yeah, Richard, I hear you. Comic Book Nation. Richard's list catching up on the Breakfast Club. That's another show, though. We're Comic Book Nation. And yeah, Drake says he's retiring, but
Wait,
has
what?
he done enough to retire? Yes.
Oh, I don't
Breaking
believe that
news.
for a second. Come on.
Breaking
I
news.
missed
Drake
that
Drake
news.
said he's retiring or possibly starting to think about. He's doing the Michael Jordan thing, the Jay-Z thing. So yeah, that's a whole separate debate, though. Turn into when we launch Hip Hop Nation on this podcast network. I will get in on that, Hip Hop Nation.
Brunch,
but
the brunch
today,
club.
yeah, the Brunch Club.
The Brunch Club, yes.
Oh man, we're just cracking out ideas. But we are Comic Book Nation, and we are the only show that does it all for geek culture, plus the official podcast of comicbook.com. I'm here in CB Studios, but today we gave everybody another home show because it's cold and rainy outside. Nobody needs to be out in here for any reason at all. So at the home studios today is my regular crew: Matthew Aguilar,
What up?
Janelle Targaryen, first of her name.
Thank you. Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for noticing, Kofi. I appreciate it. You always notice when I get my hair done.
Yeah. Hey man, it sparkles. We love some Targaryen up in here. And joining us again, our most regularist guest host, Mr. Connor Casey, is with us.
Hey, yo, what's up, guys?
And we had a kind of simple plan for today. We thought, if you guys are just joining Comic Book Nation, we always start out like this show is notorious for taking this Friday slot and letting it screw with our lives as much as possible. We thought we had a plan in place. We were like, okay, we got a nice little show here. And then Peter, who produces the show along with Richard and makes all our great images and all our great kind of transitional stuff and runs the comic book kind of comment thread down there. We woke up this morning and Peter was like, well, you guys were recovering. There's a bunch of stuff that happened. So we had a bunch of breaking news today. So here we go. This is one of those shows where we're just kind of thrown into the mix. And we got to talk about some new stuff because some stuff happened. And here we are. First things first, let's take a trip through the MCU. We got news that our girl, Elizabeth Olsen, the Scarlet Witch, is maybe teasing her comeback. Let's just go to the video right off the bat. I think we have the video loaded up.
What future storyline for Wanda do you want? Well, honestly, if I were to tell you exactly what I would want, I think I would maybe be spoiling something because Kevin Feige genuinely asks us what we want to do with the character, and then he does it. So I think I don't know if I can share, but I just want to come back.
All right.
Yes.
So, what it sounds like from that quote, if you don't know how the MCU currently works, they don't sign actors to these kind of longer contracts like they did in, say, phase 1 through like phase 3. They learned through the problems of that to basically just keep these actors on call. And if they think they're going to be needed for an upcoming project, Kevin Feige basically just gets out early and says, hey, clear your schedule. We think we're going to need you back. They might not even know what they're coming back for a while, but they just kind of reserve them. So it sounds like they tapped Elizabeth Olsen to kind of clear something in her schedule, but it sounds like they kind of gave her the more carte blanche thing of saying like, hey, Lizzie, what would you like to do next? What would keep you in? Like, what would incentivize you? And Elizabeth Olsen has done all her research and knows like everything about Scarlet Witch. And I'm sure she had some ideas, which is probably get me the hell out of this Sam Raimi crap and get me back to the complexity of WandaVision again. Mm-hmm. Like, let's some redemption for Wanda, right? So I'm not surprised to hear that's moving along, but hearing Olsen kind of give us that open of a tease is a nice thing. Janelle, how are you feeling about
dude, that was a live react for me. I hadn't seen that until just now. So my mouth kind of dropped. It's weird because she kind of alludes, like at first you think she's like saying like 100% like there's something in the pipeline, but then it's like she's saying she can't tell you what she wants because it like may or may not happen depending on like her communication with Kevin. So we don't know if it's already happened. We don't know if she's already voiced it, but I don't care. She's down. I'm so excited to hear that she's like pumped about being Wanda still, because wasn't there a time when she was kind of like anti-superhero and she wasn't even really like excited about. Like she was kind of like, well, I'm not going to wear a costume and like things. Am I making that up?
The voice. Really.
Am I making that up though? I feel like
Actually, a personality to Elizabeth Olsen. I
remember reading the interviews about the costume because that was one thing she was, and to her defense, the Scarlet Witch original costume is it's a bit.
I cosplayed that and I was like taking my cape and wrapping it around my body.
Yeah, like I kind of understood it, you know what I mean? And I also like that she ultimately did kind of wear it.
She did,
WandaVision, right? So that was fun. Yeah, but I do remember.
Did she wear it, honey? Oh, did she wear it? Yes, she did.
Wear it?
Yes, she did. I mean, no, but cool. Wanda is like one of the coolest. Lizzie Olsen's one of the best actors we've had in the MCU, and her performance has been. I mean, the WandaVision was great. So, like, whatever happens next, we need Scarlet Witch for so many things, right? Like, we need her. I'm wondering if they will, because she said she wasn't in Agatha. I wonder if that could be changed, if she'll show up in Agatha. We still have everything that comes next for Scarlet and White Vision, or Scarlet Witch and White Vision. There's everything with the kind of the X-Men connection potential of it all. There's so much that her character has to do. And there's nobody else I think is gonna, whip on Kang or many Kangs as Wanda can. She's a pivotal player. If you're trying to control reality, she's a person you're gonna have to deal with at some point or another. Or she's gonna be key to saving things in Secret War. So yeah.
I was gonna
ask
that
bag.
Where I can't remember everybody's ratings as far as like where WandaVision lies in like your favorite of the shows, but for me it's number 1. So are you guys like where did you guys land on that?
Are you asking us how we rank WandaVision?
Yeah, like I remember we did a show.
Going back.
So
yeah.
like
I wasn't
like
here
top
for
5.
that one.
It's top 5.
For that.
I wasn't here for that one. So it would
we were still QCing the show back then.
Well, it would be my favorite Disney Plus series if not for that final episode. And I'm also in that camp that I know I'm in the minority here, where I saw it as her villain origin. So I wasn't surprised when they did the quick heel turn in Multiverse of Madness. Now, Kof, I'm with you where I think Vision Quest is part 3 of this arc that gets her back to being a hero.
Yeah.
So, but as far Janelle, to answer your question, it's top 5, but I think Loki beats it out simply because that last episode was so bad.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
I didn't love the Loki last episode either, though. So
I love Jonathan Majors just vamping for 20 minutes. That was great. People didn't like that, but I did.
But that's awesome.
No, I agree with Connor though. I think that's the next step, the next logical step. Also, for me, I was in the minority. It's pretty low.
Okay.
On my list.
Yeah.
That show.
So you're like, I don't really need another WandaVision. Like,
no, I want 2. Wanda.
But
Wanda.
I'm saying you don't need a season 2.
Yeah, like the White Vision stuff, meh.
Yeah. I love the White Vision. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, this is like, I'm so excited. There's 2 pieces of things that have dropped recently with Marvel stuff. This is one of them, and I am losing my mind. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, you guys have some takes. I love the Loki finale. I love Jonathan Majors. I loved everything it set up. Yeah.
Same.
All right. So Lizzie is coming back. That's good. I mean, that's good for all of us. Who's really arguing against any of that? So. Yeah,
are we not? Are we really not? I'm looking at our thing. Are we not talking about Glenn from The Walking Dead casting?
No.
Oh, that
my
in here.
God. Okay, well, just
go ahead, get it off. Get it off.
Yeah, you should touch on it though.
You seem to care. Get it off.
No. I just want to say that's the other thing that I was really excited about, and I was like losing my mind when I found out that we were going to get
I don't even
Glenn
know
back.
What's happening? Yeah, what's happening? Yeah,
Matt,
I've had like
can you
real
please explain since you know this title that's coming, like what he's
Oh,
playing?
something. Oh, is he saying something's killing the children?
No. Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, this whole show just got derailed. What is happening?
Hold on.
Okay, so
Stephen
Yeun has been cast in Marvel's Thunderbolts movie.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't know. So
he's not playing Invincible, so I'm not as interested.
No. Kobe threw me off with something is killing the children. I was like, okay, did I miss a big casting?
me too.
Which
I was
we
like,
will talk about that later.
What's happening? Period.
Okay, no. Yeah, he's in Thunderbolts. He is now. They have not revealed his role as I'm looking at this right now. So he's just now attached to it, which is great because I mean I think he's a great actor.
I love him.
He was actually one of my favorite parts of Nope.
Yes. Oh my God, I love him in Nope.
It's such a bit part, you know, but like I enjoyed it. But yeah, so that's
right.
And plus I'm hyped for Thunderbolts. So any additions to that cast, I think, is going to be amazing because Yelena Belova's in that cast, so it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. Got it.
2
off,
Marvel
Glenn.
drops. Love it.
Yeah, 1.5, but okay. That's good. Yeah, Thunderbolts adds another guy. Let's go. So on the other headline front, we get new Lord of the Rings movies, which is crazy. Nobody saw that one coming. But yeah, Warner Brothers just said get new Lord of the Rings movies. They're going to be but what is it? They're not going to be based on anything.
I'm more hyped for Steven Yeun.
Really?
Say that.
I love Steven Yeun.
It's
all about Glenn.
I'm more hyped for that than another set of Lord of the Rings movies.
Same, but content is content. I am excited about it. This is still a win for nerd fandom. It's maybe not like my biggest fandom, but like I understand where people would get excited because is like some people are crazy about this, and that's awesome. Like that's the way I feel about Doctor Who. Like that's the way that I feel about Doctor Strange. I like Doctors apparently. But yeah, so I'm excited for them, and I'll definitely be checking it out, no matter what.
Permission to rant here for a second.
Yes, Connor.
May I rant? Okay, so Lord of the Rings is very special to me. It is the big film franchise me and my father bonded over. He was an OG Tolkien fan pre all of the animated movies, all of it. I absolutely love them. Anybody ask me what my favorite movie is, it's Return of the King. If you ask me what my first tattoo would be, it'd probably be something related to that. Now, I hated the Hobbit movies. And a big reason why was that Peter Jackson was allowed to run free and do whatever he wanted. And instead of 2 movies that could have been excellent and tightly wound, you had 3 movies that all dragged and were way too bloated, and a 3rd movie that I've watched once in theaters and will never touch again. The Amazon show had its lunch eaten by House of the Dragon. And attempting to watch it, it had its moments. It had its emotional high points.
Mm-hmm.
But man, how much of that show was just trying to drag us along until we saw a character that we actually recognized. Oh, that might be Gandalf. We don't know. But we're going to drag it out the entire season to hope that you might see a character that you recognize.
Wow.
Ditto for the whole Sauron reveal.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck are you going to try and pull from the rest of Tolkien to get multiple movies out of this? Because let's keep it 100 here for a second. The First Age, if you want to actually make that a film, it's going to play out like Fantasia. It's going to be a lot of symbolism and giant spirits hitting each other, and you're not going to know what the hell is going on.
Are there going to be broomsticks?
I don't know. Might there'll be that Chernobog guy from the volcano.
I love it.
Yeah, no, this is, and you don't want to do the Silmarillion, trust me.
Oh, I mean, I am like the Dark Lord. I am more in a relishing in other people's pain type mood, and I think it's going to be hilarious because you have Tolkienites, or like I said, Tolkien is like one of the most esteemed fan bases. They got people who dedicate their lives and get PhDs in this subject, and good run you guys have had. But guess what? Those gates are spread wide open to the big bust of capitalism, and they are about to get run through because now you're going to see Tolkien stuff just adapted by companies, and that's what we're getting to.
Yep.
And you have every reason to be scared. I want you to be scared because it is going to be scary when this happens, but it is going down. Like, yeah, now Zaslav is like, Zaslav was like, what? This is so holy. I'm not just going to sit back and watch Amazon just make up their own stuff. We can make up our own stuff. So we're going to get the Gollum Chronicles or Gollum Summer Vacation or whatever they put on HBO Max.
Okay, I would watch that. I'd watch that in a heartbeat.
There you go. Yeah.
Weekend at Gollum's.
They're going to do whatever they're going to do whatever. They're not mining anything. It's empty. This thing is Mount Doom now. Yeah, Mount Doom is now what they're going for. They're just throwing everything into the fires. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's gonna be great. I can't wait. I can't wait for the anger. It's just gonna become generic fantasy series with Tolkien name on it, and it's what's going down, man.
I mean, I believe it. I usually when Kofi says something like this is gonna happen, I hold on and I get ready for it to happen.
I mean, you thought that troll stuff was bad?
I'm hoping.
Wait.
I'll be the hopeful one. I'm hoping that it'll be great and it'll be different. I just come at it from more of the Connor side of those movies were so good, and I hold them in such high regard. And Hobbit was so bad, and not bad as in quality of like, you know, technical wizardry and those kind of things, that had great acting and all that stuff. It's just bloated. It's a very small story.
If you want to see the 3 movies, just how much of a mess The Hobbit was, not only in the filming process, but everything that was going on behind the scenes, and laws that they made get changed in New Zealand. Look up Lindsay Ellis's YouTube documentary on it. It's a 3-parter. It's fantastic. She actually interviewed one of the dwarves that were all pushed back into the 3rd one. They flat out weren't even invited to the 3rd premiere. That whole project is one big mess.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where I come at it. I'm like, okay, the bar is set very high, and now you're going back and you're probably going to retread a lot of that. I don't know. Yeah. So, but who knows? Weekend at Gollum sounds fun. Let's do it.
Mindy Kalik's Gollum animated series is going to be hyped.
You go to hell with that one, sir.
Hyped. Man, I love that. Mindy Kalik's Gollum series, or like Smeagol, like how the origin, Mindy Kalik's version of how Smeagol became Gollum is going to be so hyped. I'm here for it. All right. Let's ruin everything. Come on. Now let's hop from ruining things back into things that are getting a fresh shot of life, because one of our main topics today is a review of DC's new Superman series, Superman #1. And so we're kind of putting this in the spotlight. This is kind of Superman's getting a kind of whole spread out reinvention in DC Comics, where like you have Action Comics, which is kind of looking at some of the bigger kind of Superman family stuff that's going on. But Superman is very much a book centered on the character himself and his ideology and all of that, and iconography and all that. And we got to speak with the creative team, Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell, a couple weeks ago. That interview is now up on the Comic Book Nation YouTube page, which you should be subscribed to already, because we are starting to drop exclusive content on there every week. We do these live shows, but then we have so much more to talk about. We're the only show that does it all for geek culture, so we can't fit it onto 60 minutes. So we put it out on the YouTube channel, including our interview and great discussions. I was thinking about this last night. Like, we don't give ourselves enough credit because we like to hype up other people, but we do great interviews at Comic Book Nation. Like, we do really good interviews.
Yeah. I feel like our flow is great.
Oh, yeah. Not only do we ask great questions and get great things out of people, but everybody who ever interviews with us leaves this interview place saying they love coming here, they love talking, and they just have like the best time.
Oh my gosh.
You've been here for all of those comments. What do you mean? Like, yes.
Yeah, yes. I don't know. You're like, you're the ringleader, man. So you know all the stuff.
Man, you make me sound like a cult leader. You got to stop building me up. I'm going to get like the FBI. The FBI is going to be like up my. I'd be like, what did you do to Janelle? Like, nothing, man. Yeah, but thank you, but no. Yeah, I mean, so we do great interviews, and they're a lot of fun because we get real geeky. We talk about a lot of fun stuff beyond the book and just life and craziness. And the Superman team was no different. So we had a great conversation. We've had several great conversations about Superman on this show.
Right?
Actually.
I was going to say.
Check out that one. Check out Dan Jurgens, who came in and just mic drop schooled some people on Superman stuff. But check out this interview for Superman 1 in its entirety. But for right now, let's talk about the book itself. Matt, take it away. Matt's our resident comics expert, and he runs this whole comics thing here. So Superman 1, now you can finally talk about it, buddy. What do you think?
I gushed on the, you can check out my full review. I think it's like, I can't remember if it's like 1,000 words or 800 or something in there, but essentially you can check out that full thing on comicbook.com right now. But I got to say, like, when we talked to them, we had read the issue, but like when Jamal Campbell really talked about like the origins of the Superman animated series, Williamson kind of echoing that, how that was a lot of inspiration. You can clearly see that. Like rereading it was like those things stuck out even more. Like even just aside from the aesthetic, like this book, it just feels like, that thing we talked about with the new DC slate, right? That hopeful, inspiring, there's a fun to it, like Superman's having fun. His family is a big part of this book. The new dynamic with him and with Clark and Lex is such a interesting, at this point, those guys have been feuding for how long? For like decades, right? So to keep finding new spins on it is difficult. That's a challenge. And so this was just a really interesting way to not, it's really Superman listening, right? It's just something that he's developed over the years. It's not like some mandated thing of like he can only listen to Lex. I like that. I like that there's some actual like flexibility within the storytelling. And I like what they did with Parasite.
Can I ask you one question about the Lex thing?
Yeah,
they explained half of it in that he can specifically hear what Lex is saying.
Mm-hmm.
How does Lex know what Superman is seeing?
Because in his cell, he literally, and this has been a thing with Lex forever. Anytime Lex is in prison, like the main guards treat him like every other prisoner, but he still has all the tech inside of his cell. Okay. So like there's a shot where like he has all of the monitors set up and he can see what's happening. Mercy is also in direct communication with Lex.
Sure.
And they like contact each other at that one point of like, hey, he's on his way, whatever. So his communication reach is not hurt at all. He has to eat crappy food as witnessed here, but like he's still not cut off from the world.
Whenever Lex is locked up, he's not like really locked up. He's there because he's abiding for some reason to be there. And like
and in this case he's there to protect himself, right?
Yeah, and like most wealthy guys in the world, like when he goes to prison, it's different, right? Like he's at summer camp, and that shot of him when they're saying Superman is coming, there is a really distinct shot of him literally tinkering with the circuitry in a cell, like with all the monitors and communication devices behind the wall. And he's just like, and he's like, he won't make it in time. He can time down. He's just a genius. So it's
the super core stuff is really cool too, because it's just I love that it still feels very Lex. Like they even acknowledge it, right? Because like Mercy's telling Clark, like, well, you can't just give it to everybody because like everyone will lose their job if you just try and give it. It has to be you. And he's like, of course he would do that. Like, yeah, it all feels inherently Lex, but it's just nice to like where he's actually just trying to make him a better hero for his own selfish reasons. Like he's trying to defend himself from these other enemies. But I just think Livewire and Parasite are two like very classic. They're right up there with Metallo, very classic Superman villains, and yet they feel like familiar, but they have like a fresh coat of paint, and I love the Parasite stuff. That character is one of my favorites in the Superman lore. So I just thought they did a really good job of blending it all, and it just I came away with a smile on my face. I can't help it. What did you guys think?
I think I like this, and as we told the creators, like I like this because it feels like it's cut from a lot of the interesting cloth we were experiencing in Action Comics and a lot of the stuff that was going on here, but it still feels fresh enough to take that stuff, that base, and carve out its own space from the look and the aesthetic of the book and the way it's kind of like classic, almost cartoony Superman, but not quite so cartoony that it's like off-putting, to the way that these characters are now interacting and where they are in the status quo is all a great balance of the old and new. And I thought this book was kind of, we talk about first issues a lot, and we talk about kind of having to give them leeway in terms of going through a lot of boring stuff to get to exciting stuff. But this book really did balance the kind of tasks and obligations of a first issue with great pacing to give us like action and very Superman-esque scenes, like Superman saving the day and then officiating a wedding, to help people out because their wedding got ruined. And
those photos were great.
And that's a Superman thing, that him like making it special for them, right? And so like that kind of stuff is reminding us who Superman is while giving us action, while also allowing us the framework to kind of get the more boring status quo set up. So it was really well done as a kind of first issue introduction.
Janelle, I remember you talked about this series back then, and you were comparing it to other things, because I remember we read something you were like for that week, and you were like, it's not as good as the thing we read for the interview.
God, I can't even remember, but it was really funny because I was messaging Matt last night, like, are we reading the same comic twice? Like I got halfway through reading this. And I was like, wait a minute. Did I I feel like I've already read this. It's actually refreshing enough to read like twice, and it's really fun, and I enjoyed reading it like twice, even though I didn't realize I was until halfway through. And Matt's like, no, you're right. Like, we're just showcasing it now. So, but yeah, I think the thing that stands out most for me, just because you guys have covered like everything, is Lex, man. I am loving this relationship with Superman and Lex. Like, this is one of the stronger like reactions to Lex I've seen, and it's so it's kind of like deep rooted. Like, there's like a love and a hate, there's this like guilt, there's this regret, it's so interesting, and I love the way that it comes across. And so that is like the driving force for me, obviously, as it should be. That's what the comic's about. But I love that. I love the way they're showing their relationship. I love that Lex is in his head. I love the little bubble. Like, it's like, this is what you should be doing, but you're not. And it's just, I feel like it's me in my day to day. Like, I have an angel and a devil on a shoulder, and I'm like, which one am I going to listen to? So yeah, I mean, this is a great book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have to keep going on and seeing where this goes.
Connor?
Yeah, no notes from me. I love the Superman the Animated Series vibe it's going for. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jonathan Kent's kind of doing a multiverse thing right now. Am I reading that right?
He's dabbled with it in the past, but like right now he's in ours.
Okay, because I was kind of wondering, this all feels like classic Superman, but where is he? But
yeah.
But anyway, I love that. I love the idea of Lex in the chair and going back and catching up on Action Comics, where he's effectively the dynamic between him and Superman is still contentious, but he's like, I recognize that we need heroes like you, even if it's for my own interests. So I like that the dynamic is fresh enough to where, okay, Lex is clearly screwing with him with the whole Supercore thing, and we're not just straight up, oh, it's gonna be Batman Inc., but now they're all in red capes.
Yeah,
I all the ideas sound awesome. One thing I will say is that I really hope this is a sign that we're actually moving closer to Parasite getting adapted, because that everyone always brings up Brainiac as like, hey, it's the big villain that we've never gotten. It's like Brainiac is like the end of a trilogy type of world breaking event.
I don't know about that. I hard disagree.
He can
about that
be.
One.
But the thing is, he can be. Parasite is very much.
He can also just show up on a Sunday.
Sure, but Parasite is very much this is a first movie in a Superman trilogy kind of villain.
Agreed.
And I feel like
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you. Look, Brainiac can be, yes, and also it depends on which Brainiac we're talking and all those things. He's been a friend and he's a hero in the future, right? Like, there's so many ways you can go with Brainiac, but as the classic, like if we're talking like classic Super Friends Brainiac style things, Brainiac to me has always been someone who should be treated as a dark side level villain, not as in they're the same thing by no means, but as a level of respect and threat. They should be like Brainiac should be that revered as that level of villain. So he shouldn't be a one and done. Like, he shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like, he shouldn't be a first movie and then, oh, you're gone until whatever. He should be someone you build to. That's how I've always viewed him. That's not the 100%, and people might disagree, and that's fine. I'm just saying that for me, he's always should be that level of villain because he's that powerful.
Yeah, but I always feel like Brainiac is always he's just there for like the collection. His goals are small. Like, he's not, the stakes around him are always small. It's always literally, it's always like he's just coming to get Superman and possibly eradicate Earth, maybe, like, but maybe not. Like, it can go either way. I always feel like Brainiac is he's like the Empire Strikes Back villain. Like, he's the one that tells you, because he has the vast knowledge of what else is out there. And he says, he's the guy who says, you think I'm bad because I'm calculating and I'm trying to preserve life because you don't know what's out there. And it's a lot worse that's coming behind me. And I like him. I always like Brainiac and I'm not saying he can be both.
Right.
Nobody's
Exactly.
right or wrong in this.
Right.
They've literally used him both ways. But I always like him as that because he's a scary mid villain, and then something bigger comes, like Darkseid, who even like Brainiac is scared of. And then you're like, oh wow, like, okay. this definitely is, because he was trying to grab the last of you before something comes and annihilates everything. And then it's like, yeah. And so, I mean, I always pick him, but I'm getting off track. My real question that I wanted to throw to Connor, and before we move on, is into all of you, is if this was the snapshot, we know James Gunn is doing different things with the DCU All-Star Superman, but if this was the snapshot of what DC is going for with their Superman movie, would you be happy with that?
Yes, but I need to see what his take on Lex is, because of the many gripes I have with BVS, the let's swerve them for the sake of swerving them with the Jesse Eisenberg casting and how he wanted to portray that character did not work for me at all. So if you want to give me this classic Clancy Brown voiced 90s style Lex, give it to me. More than happy to get it. But I need to see what his take is on that.
Okay.
I just don't understand how that would work, because like why can't we use Henry? Like what? I don't understand. Like it doesn't.
He broke Zod's neck. He'll never get that back. He's never going to be the bright shining Superman. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think you're right.
He's a big fan of justice, so you know.
I think you're right though, in the sense that I think Henry Superman could have embodied those things. Yeah. Absolutely. I think
just feel like he better be like really young. Like real young Superman.
I just think there's so much baggage that comes with that now. I just think it's time to move. But I agree with you as an actor and as a person. I think he could have. That was always my biggest gripe, was that he didn't get the Superman movie that I thought he deserved.
Yeah,
and so he could have, absolutely. So
well, that's a good segue into our last point before the break, which is we just had a footnote that Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav said he saw The Flash and he said it's good, which is that's not low praise and that's not salesmanship. Because if it was bad, he'd be like, yeah, we canceling this. But Zaslav came back saying The Flash is good. And, we just had the creative team of Batman One Bad Day Clayface, which also came out this weekend. Another interview we did that you guys can check out. That's really great. And Jeff Lansing was kind of going nuts, saying he's heard stuff because he's a DC writer and he's hearing that these surprises are crazy. Is there any chance you guys think we get Cavill as like a big send-off, final, show up, maybe save the day guy in The Flash?
Wouldn't hate it, and also I'm waiting for that.
Her and Sasha Calle together, that'd be dope.
I'm waiting for that Christian Bale cameo, because ain't nothing gonna get me more excited than my favorite Batman showing up.
Wow!
All right.
I like it, Connor.
I like the little slip in there. That's good.
All right, The Flash. Okay. All right, so we're looking good on The Flash, Matt.
Yeah, I don't think I don't after Cavill's writing that long Instagram post and the back and forth of Black Adam, I don't know if like going back to that well again. I don't know. I would be hard to predict like the amount of like, oh, do I want to get into that circus again? Even because it always prompts more discussion. Like every time you do it, it's not just can't just be a one and done. It always prompts more.
I know it. No, it would be a final. This would obviously be
we say it's a final thing, but amongst discussion, it always ends up. I mean, it's going to be the same with once people see this movie, because Affleck is Batman. My favorite Batman actor is in this. You're going to get discussion after the fact. Everyone knows it's like, oh, they're moving on and they're picking and choosing, but you're still going to get discussion of, well, can they unless he straight up dies, they're going to be discussion of, can we bring him back? Is he still out there? Every time you prolong it, that's what you're doing. You're prolonging it. Like you just kick the can down the road. At some point you got to move on. So also, I don't know.
Can I just make a point about Zaslav? This is the man that looked at Honey Boo Boo and said, put it on the Learning Channel. So anytime he says something is great, I have questions.
I mean, nobody knew what TLC was, but we did learn a lot from Honey Boo Boo. Yeah. Oh man. Anyway,
my favorite cooking shows are on TLC.
Oh boy. So moving on, we're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, we still got a lot more to do on Comic Book Nation. We have to review the crazy new film Cocaine Bear. Plus, we have so much more to talk about in terms of new comics of the week. We got to talk about what's going on TV. You guys get some TV catch-up finally from us. And so stay tuned for all of that and subscribe now. pause music goes harder than your pause music. Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture.
Rock and roll.
Our first segment, talking all about the late breaking news that Elizabeth Olsen is announcing a Scarlet Witch return. We're getting new Lord of the Rings movies, and we review DC's new Superman series in its first issue. Now, as we move on to the second half of the show, we are going to review the new movie Cocaine Bear, and I believe this is just me, so we can make this a quick segment. I reviewed Cocaine Bear for comicbook.com, and you can check out my review over on comicbook.com/horror. Cocaine Bear is a new film from Elizabeth Banks, who's in The Hunger Games and Pitch Perfect, and it is a kind of fictionalized, dramatized telling about a real mid to late 80s incident in which a bunch of drug smugglers dropped a bunch of cocaine out of a plane over the Georgia to Tennessee forest line, and a black bear got into it and was found overdosed on cocaine. But what Elizabeth Banks does is takes that premise and turns it into this kind of wild kind of horror comedy story about what that bear did while overdosed on cocaine. What I wrote in my review was about a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I think you could go 3.5 to 4 depending on how much you like horror comedy. This is more of kind of like a easy, low budget movie that's not trying to do anything too crazy, but it does deliver exactly what is promised in these trailers and from the premise. But what is unexpected and a lot more fun is this movie has kind of a stacked cast. There's a lot of people in it. O'Shea Jackson, like Ray Liotta's last movie, Kerry Russell, Matthew Rhys. And basically what happens is this movie plays like a series of vignettes or short stories in which these characters are playing, hamishly and winkingly, but playing dramatic storylines about people whose lives. Like you see Kerry Russell is in there, and she's this mom looking for her 2 kids who ran away and skipped school for the day to go hang out in the forest. And so she's desperately trying to find her kids and everything. And that's a whole storyline until a cocaine bear rushes out of the forest, and then, ish hits the fan. And so it works like this for several character storylines that are going throughout the movie. And it's kind of wonderful. It's kind of funny because, like I said, the actors are all kind of, whether winkingly or not, playing it kind of serious. Like all of these characters have stories. They have like actual dramas that are going on, relationship stuff going on. And that's all important until a cocaine bear comes running out of the woods and then people get horribly killed. And this is gory horror stuff. There are some of the gnarliest kills you will ever see in this movie. And it is pretty raw. And that's the fun of it. It's like, yeah, everything matters until a cocaine bear comes rushing out of the woods, and then nothing matters. Except not getting horribly killed. But so there's a good ebb and flow to the movie. It's not overly long. And like I said, it's this thing where it starts and stops. Like, you get this crazy sequence, and then you get a chance to calm down. Everybody gets a chance to laugh out and do things while another scene of some other people somewhere else in the forest are dealing with something dramatic. And just when that seems like it could get to be too much, oh, there's Cocaine Bear again, and we're back to the races. And so good job for Elizabeth Banks for taking this premise and filling it and actually working it and not ever overdoing it and knowing like kind of real good comedic beats. And if you got to go out on a last film for Ray Liotta, like this is a great one to go out on. He's hilarious in this movie, and you could tell he was having a lot of fun on set doing this. And so, if this is going to be your last film, what a film to make your last film. But Cocaine Bear is destined, as I wrote, to live on in cult movie status. I mean, GIFs, memes, video clips all over the socials you're gonna see this one a lot. So
I want to see this strictly because of the off the wall premise got me to watch the trailer. But the word of mouth of just like those things about it, it's one of those that like I feel like will have legs. Like people will still be talking about this for a while, even though other movies come out, because it's so odd and fun. Also, props to Elizabeth Banks, who I really enjoy and is also directed the criminally underrated Charlie's Angels. And I love that movie. So I'm glad to see her get some shine here because it's doing well, right? They're doing well.
Yeah.
It's doing well at the theater.
But no, Cocaine Bear's doing all right. It's going to do all right.
So.
I don't think this one is too crazy to produce.
It's not like a $300 million budget or anything.
No, just CGI bear and some actors in the woods. And Briarwood, I can't remember accurately enough right now, but I think there could be Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who plays a kind of cop looking for the drugs. I think there could be a subtle reference to his Wire character in his famous catchphrase. So I don't know for sure, but just keep a lookout because there might be. There's a lot of fun Easter eggs in this. I mean, like, you got the whole cast of The Americans in this, like Kerry Russell, Matthew Reeves, and Margot. What's her name? I forget her name.
Oh yeah, they would make that connection.
Yeah, so like, yeah, there's just a lot of fun things that happen in this movie. So check out Cocaine Bear, guys. Even, I mean, if you don't have time to go to theater, it'll be on Peacock within like 45 days, and definitely you should make some kind of game night out of sitting down and watching this film. Just not with actual cocaine, please. All right, moving right along. We should say that for a PSA.
Yeah, of course.
Let's talk TV. People have been wanting us to talk TV for a while, and we have not gotten to do it whatsoever because we've been so busy. But we have 3 minutes, so let's just kind of catch up on TV. I just want to say, you know, we got a stump for Paramount here because we work for them and they pay us. But even if they didn't, I'm deep into Star Trek Picard season 3. We've had 2 episodes out already. I know people have been hard on Picard for it being very kind of against the typical Star Trek mold, but and I think a lot of people were maybe hoping like the Next Generation cast coming back would push that show towards being more Next Generation, but it's really the Next Generation people coming into the Picard reality. So I think you got to calibrate yourself for that, first of all, because it doesn't make Picard any lighter visually or otherwise. I mean, it still is dark, but you got your Next Generation people there. But I've been enjoying seeing this evolution of the Next Generation characters, and especially this second episode. I'm writing an article now. Amanda Plummer, who you might know as Honey Bunny from the opening of Pulp Fiction, is playing the villain this time around, and she's great. Fans are loving her. She came onto the scene, especially in this last episode, and just, I mean, hamming it up with the best of the Star Trek villains out there. She plays a bounty hunter with this crazy warship, and she's one for mind games. She just gets in there and just in the communicator call, she just mind screws like everybody from Picard to the other people on the bridge and how much she knows about them and stuff. So people are loving Amanda Plummer. There's some big reveals that have to directly affect Picard and maybe set up some stuff for future franchise stuff. And it's good to see the original Next Generation cast back. They're Worf made an awesome entrance in this episode, and yeah, it's good. It was good. So I'm enjoying this season of Picard, and I hope you guys will watch along and join along because we love to do some stuff about Picard on the show here and on our whatchamacallit, YouTube channel. Yes, and Amanda Plummer was also in So I Married an Axe Murderer. Yes, she was the axe murdering sister. Yes, that's
Again,
how.
did not make that connection.
Neither did I until somebody mentioned it, but that was like, So I Married an Axe Murderer is that movie that was always on when I got home questionably in a questionable state of soberness in high school and was like, I need to stay up for a little bit. That would always be on. Woman. Yes. Mike Myers, classic stuff. Anyway, moving right along. I guess I'm only the one stumping for Picard and Cocaine Bear. But guys, what about that Last of Us?
Whoa.
Great. Moving right along. My butt's starting to hurt.
Are you still, Janelle, are you still like loving this? Is
Yes.
Scratching the Walking Dead itch?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I saw an article where they came out and they were like, oh, wow, on the set, they weren't allowed to say the Z word. And they acted like that was so original. And like every single zombie flick and TV show, you're not allowed to call them zombies. You have to call them walkers or day shifters or whatever the heck you want to, call them. But that was really funny to me because I feel like there's a lot of non-zombie watchers checking this out. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who know nothing about zombie shows or zombie lore that are into this. And I love that because I feel like there's a huge audience backing it. Obviously the cliffhanger was very scary. Like, what's happening? I feel like this is going to be a huge shift. I'm still trying to get used to the time jumps between episodes. I'm just not used to that. It doesn't happen a lot in The Walking Dead. So, but I appreciate it because it's progressing.
Let me introduce you to a little show called House of the Dragon.
Yeah, that was like one giant one. But yeah, I think it's It's really unique. I do want to see more of the walkers, or what do they call them? I don't know what they call them on there. But I would
They're
like to see
cordyceps. I mean, they're
Thank
just the
you.
infected.
the infected.
Yeah,
I would
there's-
like to
yeah.
see more of the infected personally, but that might just be like a personal preference.
I want to
because I'm
address
into
that because this was a major topic I had for talking about this.
Mhm.
People, I feel like people really do, and I agree with you about the zombie thing. I think it's a huge problem. And I think that zombie lore is a huge problem and always is for this series because I get why they're trying to stray away from zombies in this one because this is different. Like these aren't the undead coming back. This is an intelligent organism hijacking
Right.
humanity. Also,
Like, more like
the
Alien.
the thing I don't think people also get is that the series is set 2 decades into this, right? And so there's a sense of normalcy. Like the immediate war is over. Like
Mhm.
humanity didn't do so hot, but the infected have kind of like moved on because there's not such big attack targets anymore. They're
Right.
just kind of scattered. You see them, they're dormant. They're not dead, but they're dormant and they're just kind of laying around because there's nothing to do.
Mhm.
And so all those big scenes of things, humanity's adapted. And you know, that's the funny thing about this series is like, yeah, we really can live through anything if you force us. We
Yeah.
will adapt, and whether it's drinking pee cups, you know, and all that, we'll adapt. And so that's what we're looking at. We're coming in at a time where humanity has gained some kind of stability back and is functioning. So like there are certain things that are throwing people off about that. And I think it's hilarious because it's coming from both sides, right?
Right.
You got people doing weird stuff like yelling about Melanie Linsky's character. Oh, she's not gaunt and starved enough to be a warlord of post-apocalyptic stuff. And it's like nobody in this show is starving.
God, I didn't
Everybody's
even see
in these
that.
communities. The communities are stable enough that everybody's eating enough. Like we're not having that problem anymore.
Mhm.
That's an old thing. But at the same time, people are also then jumping in about like the gas thing and like, well, gas wouldn't still be gas right now, like, you know, and getting all hung up on that. So it is playing loose in this thing. And you begin to see in the show what the games have been able to get away with
Yeah.
that people don't care about in a game. People don't really care
Right.
about a cutscene of them traveling in a car being like, you wouldn't have gasoline. But in a show, that does matter like a whole lot. And there's
Yeah.
other things like that they had to kind of address
Maybe it
in,
was
in the
electric.
show.
Um,
No,
agree.
there's people. It's gone nuts. You start to get all these survivalists coming up, but there are ways that you recycle. You have to gather more gas because it's less potent, so you have to get it, and then you have to distill it back down into a not even fully potent, but more potent form that you can actually
Mhm.
burn. It's a whole thing, but we don't want to sit around and do this. If you knew the real
Yeah.
Last of Us games, we don't want to do half of that. I don't need to
Yeah.
see Joel gathering supplies all day.
Yeah.
A little
Can
Easter egg of him wrapping a boot with duct tape was enough for me. Like hearing that
I
tape, I
will
was like,
say
okay. But,
that, like, for me personally speaking, like, I think episode 1 was the most thrilling. And it was because of that time. Like, it was right when it hit. We didn't know what was happening. It was confusion. It was terror. It was loss of life. Like, it was very traumatic. And so none of the episodes have really hit me like the first episode in that way, in like the thrilling way. But obviously, you have standout acting performances and relationships between humans. But I feel like if you are a diehard Walking Dead fan, you definitely like, this is different and you can't hold it in the same regard
Right.
with
Yeah.
the zombies. So yeah.
Yeah, and the title says it all. This is not about like us versus the zombies.
Right.
At the end of the day, this becomes about how everybody's dealing with this world and what happens when the last of humanity is trying to that is so scattered and like broken and fractured, where you get this thing that could unite everybody and hope again, this one thing that comes along. And how does that fare in this world? And that's what this story is about.
Mhm.
And so like, yeah, there might be, I think all in all, there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 major more scenes of infected that actually play out that you have to kind of go through. But other than that, it's going to be a lot more about the human
Yeah.
drama of it all. And I think people need to strap in for that, because if you think that's like missing the horror, strap in.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think you guys said it really well.
Connors looks like he's about to burst full
No,
of.
sorry, I just-
yeah, no.
There's just a point I wanted to make, and there's a reason you hired the guy who recreated the Chernobyl disaster to make this show. And the
Yep.
point of the show is not the zombies themselves, awesome as they are to see. It's that what happens when the systems fail you, and what are you left with? And what happens when all the systems have failed and it's 20 years? and how have different pockets of survivors reacted to all of this. We've hinted at slavers and raiders. We've only seen tiny little scraps of that. We've seen Jackson attempt to recreate society, and I've, having not played the game, I've read enough to where it's like, this isn't what Jackson looked like in the game, but it's fascinating to see, like, oh, they tried to create a town that looks straight out of the not Middle Ages, the Old West.
Yeah,
it feels like an old, it's just, and we still have movie theaters, and we have a school. Like, they're trying to recreate it, knowing full well that there's a wall of dead bodies outside.
Yeah.
It's all those little things that are way more interesting than when did the clicker show up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and that's me too. And to be fair, I mean, even in the games, like, the game split your time pretty distinctly between fighting the infected, and those are not even your worst fights. Your worst fights are with other people, other groups, because they're the ones who maneuver, run around, flank you, come above the floor above you. Like, the game has a complicated AI. These people react like real fighters, especially in the second one. And so the real combat scenes are actually humans. It's not even the clickers. The clickers are just this thing. It's like having a cage match with tigers around you, right? You just don't want to get too far out of the ring because then the tigers grab you and you're really effed. And so that's kind of what the clickers are. You guys are just going to have to slow-mo rewind Big Daddy Bloater and get your thrills that way. Okay? Yeah, I mean, I'm liking The Last of Us, and I can't wait to see what happens at the end of the season, because this is one of the hardest narratives in any entertainment thing I've seen, and I can't even wait to see what people are going to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. I'm just waiting for that. Ooh, Schadenfreude's my favorite. All right, moving right along. Matt, let's get it off. Matt and I have some indulgences to do, so let's talk about our indulgences. That You season, right? We've been checking out. We've been over on Netflix doing some dirt. Yeah, we've been
so
watching
good.
Season 4. So good, yeah.
It's like if Knives Out, like, I think I sent you a message.
Yeah,
like,
you
it's
said
like
you
Knives
said the
Out
perfect
and
log line.
You had a baby, and I am all about it. It's so cool to have like this weird murder mystery and just all the normal like You stuff and elements, and like being in, like changing and moving international. Like, oh man, like
flipping
I'm
up
eating
the
this up.
voiceover.
I did
flipping up
not
the
expect to
stalking.
love it this much.
Yeah. No, neither did I, but it was fun. Flipping up the script. This is a rare show where they're actually doing something fresh and it actually works. Like flipping up who's stalking who, flipping up the venue, flipping up what Joe is trying to do this time, and just trying to hide out and exist in a group that's arguably more psychotic than he is. Is amazing. And so, yeah, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. And they get you with that mid-season cutoff. You're just like,
Part 2 comes out later this year, and I was like, okay, like I think it's only a couple months away.
It's a month away. It's just
a month away.
It comes
Okay,
out,
so
it comes March.
like,
Yeah.
Thank the Lord, because that ending, I was like, okay, I need the rest of this now, please. It's been
in
fun.
my veins.
Yeah,
I have to actually check. Is the kid from You? Is he also the kid on Picard this week? Oh man, I got to check that out. Oh, that might be a big connection. All right. But yeah, You is really good. I'm loving it. And this series, like me and Matt, if you guys don't remember, like how we got into this was during the pandemic. We were just kind of like sitting around doing nothing. And one day I was like, I messaged Matt. I'm like, you watching this crazy serial killer show? And he was like, yes. And I was like, well, that wasn't the answer I expected, but great. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, this is actually pretty good. And then we just kind of really got into it. And so, yeah, it was a good time, and I'm still loving it. I'm still glad we have you around. Ed Spielers is the guy who's kind of a pivotal part of You right now. Yes, he's also, this dude is getting the money. So the guy who's like this pivotal part of You season 4, especially at the end reveal, is also the main dude who's like playing this major role now in Star Trek Picard. So that guy's getting all the money.
Look at
this
that
week.
Synergy, man.
Yeah, man. Good for you. So this has actually turned out to be a show highlighting actor Ed Spielers. Congratulations, Ed. You're having a very great month. Right up there with Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, You season 4 is great. I'm also loving Perfect Match. Perfect Match. Netflix's Avengers Endgame, where everybody from all the worst people from all the Netflix reality shows get together.
I'm watching that.
Yes, right?
Yes.
It's so good that you watch it and you don't even remember the title of it. You're like, wait, what was the premise of this whole thing?
It's so good and bad.
Yeah, it's so good. It's another one. They release these batch of episodes every week, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, yeah.
Wait, aren't they releasing another one like today or tomorrow?
Yep. Yeah. The last ones are coming up. Yeah, and it has
go.
everybody. It has Chloe from Mitch from The Circle, both Georgia and Francesca from Too Hot to Handle, a bunch of people from Love is Blind, Damien. Like, it's nuts.
The Mole.
It's nuts. Yeah, The Mole, Ultimatum, every one of those crazy Netflix
reality TV. It's great.
It's the
also, shout out
it
to
is
Love
the
is
best
Blind.
bad.
It's not Love is Blind. What's Married at First Sight? It's actually in Nashville. It's set in Nashville. I have a friend that's on it.
Connor's vomiting.
Gets me to watch that show all the time.
Connor's vomiting.
No,
Oh, my
allergies.
friend Matt. My friend is Gina. So if you're watching that show, my friend is Gina. We should bring her on the podcast.
I gotta go back and watch now. I gotta go
we're having a good time. Anyway, as you can see, we're having a good time with Perfect Match. So we also watch reality show TV. We watch our trash reality shows, guys. We just don't share it with you often, but that's what we're doing here. And Matt got the highlight of the week on the TV front with the news that something he loves. Yo, it's crazy, but yeah, I mean, I put it in the article about this, Matt, and I put a link to it. You did the first review for this. You were one of the first people ever to say, like, this is going to be something. And you were on the podcast saying this would be a dope TV or movie show way back in the ancient times, in the before times, before the true times of 2019 and season 1. Something About the Children is getting a Netflix series. Something is killing the children, not about the children. Something is killing the children is getting a Netflix series. The comic series that interviews this podcast to James Tynion for and really solidified him as one of our favorite writers. And Matt was stumping for this right from issue 1. So Matt, take it away. How happy are you?
Oh man, now here's the thing. The one thing I will say is I'm not super familiar with. So the new TV show has the showrunners of Dark, which is also a property. I'm not familiar with Dark, but I'm not.
That's one we should watch.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go watch it now because I want to know. Like, oh, okay, I want to see what like their
people scream at me that we have not watched Dark. I get screamed at about this, probably more so than most other TV shows.
So I need to go watch it, see what that's see what kind of their style is and stuff, and probably I'll get more excited if it's been because I've heard about Dark. I just haven't ever ended up watching it. But yeah, I'm excited. Like. This series this series has spun off. House of Slaughter is great too, and they've also had like a one shot. And this world is so, and there's stuff about this world like Erica Slaughter, who is the main character, is essentially a monster hunter, right? But the monsters are only hunting children, and the children are the only ones that can see them. So to be a hunter, you have had to have a traumatic event happen in your own life because those kids can continue to see them. And there's like this whole extended thing with totems. And then there's these, the Order of St. George, which is like the main group. This like has all these different masks and they all serve different roles. So like Erica's a black mask, but there's white, there's red. There's all like, there's just so much to this world. It's perfect for a TV show. It is absolutely perfect. So it's gory, but
what's it on?
So this is going to be on Netflix when it's hit. The current series is Boom Studios does the current series, and then House of Slaughter spun it off, and they're like in Louisiana, and there's this whole other sector. Like this world is just so big, and I actually think it's a perfect fit for Netflix. So I'm excited to watch Dark. I was excited when Mike Flanagan was attached. That was cool too.
Netflix screwed that up real bad.
Yeah, so like I'm hoping that this one sticks because man, like this could be an easy franchise. I actually have a black mask around here. So anyway, I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped.
All right. Executive call. Do you guys want to just finish out with comics at a quicker thing, or do you want to do it as our bonus section? We can do that if you guys want. It's kind of
we can finish it out quick, right?
All right, let's do it. All right, I like the hustle. Okay, so in comics this week to finish out the show. One that I think is easily my favorite comic of the year so far is Clayface, Batman One Bad Day Clayface. And this is Colin Kelly and Jeff Lansing writing it. And I butcher the artist name. I don't want to say the artist name because I always butcher it. Zola. Matt, help me. Save me. What is the artist name for? Is he Frozen? Is that Frozen Matt up there?
I think he's looking. No, wait, maybe he
He's
is frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, Frozen Matt can't
Monaco.
save me because it's not real Matt. Oh,
There he
there it
is.
is. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, do you hear
Oh,
me?
anyway. No,
It's Zermonico.
Zermonico. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, my Latin brother, for helping me out and saving me. Yeah, so this book is this is what I love about DC is DC takes these shots and puts out these kind of books and is willing to do these kind of darker, more adult tales and just kind of play with their mythos on any given Sunday, right? There's like, hey, it's Sunday, let's play with a Clayface or a Bane tale. And these One Bad Days have been surprisingly good. I loved Bane, I loved Catwoman, I love this, and this is my favorite of the bunch. And you don't. This makes Clayface, who can. I don't think I've been this scared of Clayface since that origin episode of Batman the Animated Series, where they did it. And there's one scene that I'm still like, I showed it and I was watching it with my son. I was like, I don't think you really should be showing that to kid, where Clayface is like imitating a woman, and then her eyes get all yellow, and then she gets all like freaky and her face melts. But this somehow makes Clayface even scarier, not just in his powers, but in his pathos, in his mind. In the way that Boris, what's his name? I always butcher his name. Basil Carlo. Yeah, like in his pathos, in the way he thinks, and how casually he'll horribly murder somebody as a means of climbing the Hollywood ladder and just to get acting roles. And this book, like I said to the creators, my favorite parts of this book are just him doing stuff in the mirror, trying to find his own identity or act in front of a mirror in these horrific ways. Like one of the first images is of him and introducing himself while he has like a little human arm and the rest of him is this horrible clay monster. And yeah, this book really just messes with your mind about entertainment, Hollywood, and Clayface as a character. Like I could now see them doing something like a Clayface in Matt Reeves' Batman universe.
Yeah, for sure.
As like somebody, especially with like the flood and whatever might have spilled out and could have gotten into somebody and being that kind of just killer monster. So like I said, this is one's going to stick with me for a long time. This is one of my favorite kind of DC one shots and one of my favorite kind of taking what is like a B or C level DC villain and turning it into a really great story. So kudos to them.
Yeah, Janelle, Connor.
Beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's an amazing book, and I read it twice now through, and it's long and it's wordy, but I don't care because it's so good that you just lose track of time. And it's just, the interview was incredible too. Like they're so passionate about it, and they have such a refreshing take, like being in LA and Hollywood and all of that. And we're all technically kind of in entertainment. And so it's really relatable, especially like with the music stuff. I was just kind of like, wow, like I feel this on a deep level.
Yeah, it's like what I asked him about last week. It's that last page encapsulates the horror, the pathos, and the tragedy of this character. So no, it's an absolute must read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's high praise. That it's already we're early in the year, but this is definitely a best of year contender.
Killer.
And these One Bad Days have been great, and there's one more coming up from Tom Taylor. That's probably going to be great too with Ra's al Ghul. So we don't seem to be ending anytime soon. I have a couple of little mentions, but I'm gonna skip those because I want to end. We got a couple of big things to talk about here. So DC and Marvel both announced bigger deals. So we'll start with DC first. They announced Night Terrors, an event that's going to be, it's actually going to kick off with a free comic book day issue. But then it's also, which by the way, has Chris Bacalo art. Just want to shout that out over in DC for like first time in a minute. So that's pretty awesome. But these are essentially going to be like 1 to 2 issue miniseries, and they're going to be having our heroes kind of face their greatest nightmares. And so that's kind of the pitch between this whole thing. It's really cool. Actually, some of the covers and the teases and stuff look fantastic. That'll be later this year. And then the other thing, which was kind of a big deal, is the Ultimate Universe is going to be returning in a new series called Ultimate Invasion. It will pair Jonathan Hickman and Brian Hitch. Everyone was wondering what Hickman was doing for a minute after the X-Men kind of passing of the baton, and now we pretty much know. Things are kind of vague So it's essentially like his, and I'm trying to find his actual quote here. They didn't want to recreate what they'd done with the Ultimate Universe because it has been concluded, right? Secret Wars, and then the end was all brought it to a close, and we had certain characters migrate over. This one will feature Miles Morales and the Maker as kind of primary characters. They mentioned kind of wanting to invert what they've done, but they very much dance around what the hell this thing is. So like, I don't know. I don't think the Ultimate Universe is returning in some big grand way, but I do think we might get a few other characters crossing over, and maybe like one series continues or something. I will be interested to see what they do. Hickman has, you know, he swings big, and for me, there are sometimes that those don't quite click, but when they do, they're amazing. So I have high hopes. So that's comics.
All right. Do you think this? Somebody asked real quick before we get out. Do you think this is a secret project Hickman was working on?
I think the one. So I think so, because it was the one that, like, he had kind of gone into seclusion a little bit, and then also when the third chapter of the X-Men saga, like, Marvel kept wanting to extend it, and like, well, we're not ready yet. We want to just kind of play in this sandbox. I think this is what kind of necessitated him to pass the baton and go, okay, I've left you the framework. Go do that when you're ready. I need to kind of switch full focus. And it fits timeline wise, because that was months ago, right? So this kind of, hey, we need to get ready for this. That kind of fits for me. I think this is the one that they were talking
Marvel
about. And
Studio,
also,
well,
Hickman has wanted to work with Hitch forever. He mentions that they've wanted to find something to work together on for a long time. So yeah, it makes sense.
And he was also talking to Marvel Studios too. So I mean, I can't assume this is all coincidental with, as people are pointing out, with Secret Wars happening and all that stuff. So, all right. That'll do it for today's show. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. We are Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture. We are also the official podcast show of comicbook.com, and you can always find our work and podcast episodes over on comicbook.com. If you are just getting out into the show now, we're on all your favorite podcast platforms. Please subscribe on your podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts especially, and leave us a 5-star review. And subscribe to the Comic Book Nation YouTube page, because we drop exclusive content on there. It's not just the live shows. We do a lot more, and we put it over there. So make sure you check out all those videos. We have everything from Matt and Connor's great wrestling updates and Power Rangers updates to kind of editorial stuff, talking about like what to do about Rick and Morty. Is Ant-Man 3 the start of Phase 5? Janelle Wheeler and me crushed that last week. So be sure to sign up for Comic Book Nation YouTube and Twitter, because we also let you guys know some of the most breaking news on Twitter, sometimes the fastest, like this whole thing about, you know, Marvel's Echo probably getting a October release date right before I walked in here. Was a big one, which we didn't even talk about, but that happened. So be sure to subscribe. Be sure to join in, because we have a lot of fun in our comment section. You guys are always the best in the comment section every week. We love all of you, all of our regulars, everybody. Shout out to everybody from the Agents of Fandom crew to our regular fans and everybody in between. This is Comic Book Nation. We're going to get out of here, but again, party will be over on YouTube. Don't miss out. And we will see you guys for the next live stream next week. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Later.